Namaste, welcome again in our SSC class. Children, in our last class, we have learned about the Sayyid dynasty, the Tughlaq dynasty, the Sayyid dynasty, as well as the Lodi dynasty, in which we have learned Ibrahim Lodi as the last ruler of Lodi dynasty. So in 1526, he was defeated by Babur, a ruler of Kabul, who was invited by Daulat Khan, the governor of Punjab. So let's know how was the governance during the Sultanate period. So first of all, we will see the administration in the Sultanate period. In Delhi Sultanate, how was the administration going on? There are 5 dynasties who ruled. So the first is the slave dynasty, in which we have learned Qutbuddin Aibak as a founder. The next was Khalji dynasty. The third was Tughlaq dynasty. The fourth was Sayyid dynasty, and the fifth was Lodi dynasty. As all the dynasties ruled over our country, and how were their administration, and then after society, then after the religion, then after the economy, then after language and literature, then after art and architecture. So in this class we are going to learn thoroughly about these things through when the Delhi Sultanates were going on in the medieval period. So we are going to start from the administration. So the sultans dominated the central government as he was the head of the state. As in each and every kingdom, it is well known that it is the sultan or the king who is the main head of the state. Likewise, the sultan here dominated the central government as he was the head of the state. He also acted as a chief executive and the highest court of appeal. He appointed many ministers to run the administration. Then before going ahead, let's come to know, do you know? So here some titles are given like Diwane Wazarat, Diwane Arz, Diwane Insha, Chief Barid, Ghazi ul Qazat, then Wakil-e-Dar. So these titles and the meanings are given here. Let me read and define it. Diwane Wazarat, the head of the department. This department was Wazir and looked after the finance, mainly revenue and taxation. So this is very important department, and the entire central administration, he was like the present prime minister actually. So as we learned about the Diwane Wazarat and the Wazir, who was the head of this department, who looked over revenue and taxation, was equivalent as the prime minister today. Next is Diwane Arz. He was the head of military administration and organized the military, conducted inspections and maintained complete discipline in the military. He was like present defense minister, that was called Diwane Arz, means related to military administration and discipline. Next name is Diwane Insha. He was in charge of entire correspondence of the state with the rulers of other independent states and his own subordinate officials. Then the next title is Chief Barid. Barid were the spies. So this is very interesting post, Chief Barid. Barid were the spies, and they were the ears and eyes of the sultan. So at that time, this post that is related to the spies, those were the ears and eyes of the sultan. Now comes the Qazi ul Qazat. He was the head of judiciary, like the present Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Now the last title is Wakil-e-Dar. He looked after the personal comfort of the Sultan and his family. So you can see that there was a post specially for the comfort of the Sultan and his family named Wakil-e-Dar. And he also looked after karkhanas which produce goods required by the royal family and maintain proper records. So children, in medieval period in Delhi Sultanate, we will see that normal people usually live very simply, but there were karkhanas, means just like industries to make things for the royal family and related to royal family. So this Wakile-Dar was just kept for the welfare and for personal comfort for Sultan and his family, and he also looked after karkhanas, means industries, small industries which produce good required by the royal family, and he also maintained proper records of those things. So children, let's know about the society at that time. By that time, the Indian society was divided mainly into two classes. Those classes were Hindus and Muslims. That is very clear to you that Hindus were dominated by the Muslims at that time. That is another thing, that the Hindus formed a large majority of the total population. But the reality is that the Muslims were the ruling classes in the Islamic State. So that they were divided mainly into two sects. Those sects were Sunni and Shia. So Muslim were divided into two sects. Those sects were Sunni and Shia. The Muslim enjoyed a higher economic status during the Sultanate period. Slave system was very popular. But before going to the slave system, just let's know about, do you know, given in your book. In West Bengal, there is a district known as 24 Parganas. There are 24 Parganas in this district. A Pargana is comprised of 84 or 100 villages. And the West Bengal, there is a district known as 24 Parganas. So that now let's know about the society. So Shia and Sunni of Muslim sect and Hindus are also there, but Hindus were dominated by the Muslims. So the Muslims enjoyed a higher economic status during the Sultanate period, and slave system was very popular. You will be very surprised to know, children, that only Firoz Tughlaq, Tughlaq dynasty ruler, had 1,80,000 slaves, and the condition of women was not good in that society. Many Muslims kept more than one wife. A Muslim widow could remarry, whereas in Hindu society remarriage is not allowed. Hindus form a large majority of total population of the country. That is very natural because it is India, but we are economically backward because many taxes were imposed at that time on Hindus, and they were not given high posts also. The Hindu society was based on caste system. Caste system, we have already learned that there were caste system and in the caste system Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudras were. Then later on many other division from these caste also came, but it was strictly based on caste system. The lower classes were exploited by the higher class. This led to wide scale conversion to Islam also. Many lower class Hindus used to change their religion to or convert their religion into Islam. The Hindu society suffered from the evils like sati system, child marriage, ban on widow remarriage and female education also at that time. Intercaste marriages were also not allowed in Hindu society. Now let's know about the economy at the medieval period. So most of the people were engaged in agriculture. We can easily say that agriculture was the main occupation which was depend on rain. However, canals and wells are also used for irrigation. Firoz Tughlaq constructed many canals and proved helpful for the agriculture, but the farmers led a life of poverty and misery. The main industries were spinning, weaving, sugar production, handicrafts, pottery, jewelry making. Some of the sultans patronized art and craft also. They had their own karkhanas. Karkhanas again came here. Karkhanas means small industries where all the fancy and luxury goods were manufactured for the royal family only, not for the simple people. Those karkhanas produced good for royal families. India had a flourishing internal and foreign trade which was carried on both sea and land. India exports rice, spices, indigo, textiles, silk, sandalwood and imported horses, wine, high-grade textiles, grassware, raw silk, etc. So this was the economy of India in the medieval period. Now let's know about the religion. That is very clear. During this period, Hinduism was the dominant religion. It was followed by the majority of people because Hindus are there in majority. The Hindus followed Vaishnavism and Shaivism. Jainism and Buddhism were also practiced by the people. Islam was mainly brought to India by Mahmud Ghazni and Muhammad Ghori. They believed in one God, whereas Hindu worshipped many gods. Sufism and Bhakti movements also started in this period. So these are the religions. Now comes languages and literatures. Language and literature. During this period, Khadi Boli and Braj Bhasha, these two languages become the literary languages, as prose and poetry was written in these languages. On the other hand, the Muslims used a mixture of Persian and Arabic in their courts. So they used the mixture of Persian and Arabic, and here Khadi Boli and Braj Bhasha in Hindu people mostly uses as a literary language. On the other hand, the Muslim used a mixture of Persian and Arabic in their courts. The introduction of historical literature was an important contribution of this time. General Ziauddin Barni. Please remember the name of Ziauddin Barni. Ziauddin Barni was the famous historian who wrote Tarikh-e-Firoz Shahi. Now the next name is Amir Khusro, was the well-known literary genius of this period. He was not only an outstanding poet but also a music composer as well as historian also. I am talking about Amir Khusro. Amir Khusro was the well-known literary genius. So because he was not only an outstanding poet but he was also composer of music as well as historian also. The local languages like Bengali, Gujarati were used in many parts of the Sultanate. Bhakti and Sufi sons. Bhakti from Hinduism, Sufi from Muslims or Islam's. Sant used local languages for their preachings. Urdu also developed during this period, which was a mixture of Turkish and Hindi. Many Indian classics were also translated in Persian, Turkish and other languages. Look at the picture of Amir Khusro, who was not only a poet but also a music composer as well as historian also. This is Amir Khusro, a literary genius. Now comes art and architecture at the medieval period. During Delhi Sultanate, a new style of architecture developed with the help of Indian craft known as Indo-Islamic. That was very natural, that was very common at that time because Hindus and Muslims were living together, and the effect can be seen very easily in their art and architecture because it was Indo-Islamic architecture. Its impact is clearly visible in the monuments of their period. So that the earliest examples of this architecture are Qutubi Masjid or Quwaitul Islam Mosque and Qutub Minar in Delhi. They were constructed by Qutubuddin Aibak, the first emperor of slave dynasty. India was handed over to him by Muhammad Ghori. So the first Sultan of Delhi Sultanate died quite early. So Qutub Minar was completed by Iltutmish, his son-in-law. Alauddin Khalji extended the Quwaitul Islam Mosque and built Alai Darwaza near it. This is a very decorative and impressive gateway with an arc. Have a look on the picture, children. This is Qutub Minar. Qutub Minar. And here Alai Darwaza. Now keep it in mind that the Qutub Minar was completed by Iltutmish, means in Qutubuddin Aibak's son-in-law, that was Iltutmish, and was completed. Qutub Minar was completed by him also. And Alauddin Khalji from Khalji dynasty, who made this Alai Darwaza near Quwaitul Islam Mosque. This is a very decorative and impressive gateway with an arc. We can see here in the picture. Do you know Khalji wanted to build a minar in front of Qutub Minar, which was to be double of its height, but could not fulfill his dream as he died at young age. This incomplete minar can be seen even today. Now comes the Tughlaq dynasty. Let's know about that dynasty also. Tughlaq founded many new cities. Firoz Shah was very famous for it. Firoz Shah Kotla, Firozabad, Tughlaqabad, etc. The famous monument of Tughlaqs is Ghiyasuddin's Tughlaq's tomb. Was the founder of Tughlaq dynasty, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, and his tomb is very famous. It is a octagon, means 8-sided in shape. It is in the front of Tughlaqabad Fort in South Delhi on Mehrauli Okhla, now Mehrauli Badarpur Road. Look at the picture. Tughlaqabad Fort of Delhi. This is Tughlaqabad Fort of Delhi, and we are talking about Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq's tomb. It is octagon or 8-sided in shape, and it is in the front of this Tughlaqabad Fort in the South Delhi of Mehrauli Badarpur Road. Do you know Lodhi Road and Lodhi Garden in Delhi were made by the Lodhis, the last dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. So Lodhi Road and Lodhi Garden, it is very famous still today, and it is situated in Delhi, made by the Lodhis. Lodhis were the last dynasty of Delhi Sultanate. Now this chapter is coming to be end. Let's know the keywords. First is counterfeit. Counterfeit coins came in the Sultanate of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Counterfeit means fake or imitation. Next word is dag, a stamp or mark. Dag. Dag and hulia we have learned. Then hulia is physical description of a person. Iqtaz means provinces. Jizya. Jizya is a tax paid by non-Muslims to live in an Islamic state. So here it is directly concerned with state. Actually it was a religious tax also. Mamluk means earlier rulers of Slav dynasty. Tomb means a burial place. Ulemas means scholar of Islamic learning who were generally orthodox in their outlook. So that those were called ulemas. This all is in the chapter. So in our next class we will do the question answer of this chapter, children. Thank you.